article on PC Gamer. So we're just gonna read this article with my girlfriend, or more like she's going to read it. For your own convenience, you can treat it as kind of a podcast. I mean, like, there's a lot of good information, a lot of interesting information about the entire game. So yeah, please enjoy.
We played the new Elden Ring spin-off and talked with From Software about what to expect from the 2025 game. From Software producer Yasuhiro Kitao asks us to forgive him if he seems nervous. Oh, so Japanese. He doesn't, but I'd have already sweated through my socks if I was in his shoes. He's about to let us play From Software's next game a full week before the rest of the world learns it exists, with a surprise trailer at the Game Awards. After the 25 million selling phenomenon of Elden Ring, this follow-up is the last thing any of us expect, because it looks, and I say this with zero shade, kinda like a mod.
Oh, look at that, you guys actually were saying the same.
Yep. Modders delight in remixing From Software's RPGs into games that are easier, or harder, sillier, or scarier. The seamless co-op mod for Elden Ring has been downloaded by more than 2.5 million PC gamers.
Actually, it's more than 4, but okay.
Randomizers that shuffle Souls games items and enemy locations are mainstays of speedrunning events. So, who says From Software can't get in on the fun by modding its own game? Well, crank the speed up to 150%, ditch fall damage, gravity. Throw in a ton of random loot and some other roguelike variables, and you've pretty much got Elden Ring Nightreign. I'll admit, I didn't take to it right away, but about 4 hours into an all-day playtest in a conference room in Tokyo, blinds drawn against the sun until it dropped below the nearby office towers, I started to feel it. That raw, animal thrill of a great roguelike build, the chest-thumping glory of slicing a 6-foot katana through the guts of Margit the Fell Omen, proccing a bleed that chunked off 10% of his health bar, and then mashing my character's special ability, L2 Gamer, to double all the damage I just dealt. Glorious.
Yeah, I mashed. It's so good, yeah.
Am I too cringe or is it okay?
No, it's okay. You are perfectly cringe.
Okay. Nightreign is simultaneously part Elden Ring and part totally new ground for a studio that's gotten very comfortable making a certain type of RPG over the last decade. This spin-off makes a perplexing first impression, treating Elden Ring's weapons, enemy types, and starting zone Limgrave as an all-you-can-reuse asset store. The vibes get even stranger when you see a Battle Royale-style wall of deadly rain encircling the map, and characters dashing around on foot like they're set to permanent fast-forward, now nimbly mantling cliffs and walls. It seems almost sacrilegious to take the pieces of a game that was so microscopically assembled and go hog wild with them. If Da Vinci wanted to repaint the Mona Lisa doing a Gene Simmons tongue thing, well, sure, he earned it. But it'd be an adjustment, you know. Playing Nightreign reminded me that in the 90s, Capcom balked at the sudden popularity of bootleg, hacked versions of Street Fighter 2 arcade machines that sped up the combat and added wild special moves like mid-air fireballs. Until they went out and played them. Then they knew there was clearly no going back. Precision game balance be damned. The speed was just too much fun. Oh my god, it sounds like L2 to the Oblivion.
Yeah,
the resulting official upgrade kit Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting, literally a mod, set the pace for every iteration of Street Fighter that followed. Nightreign is Elden Ring Turbo, a condensed 3-player roguelike with a little dash of Monster Hunter to it, as you choose a final boss to face at the end of each 30-ish minute run. That's assuming you survive 2 days of the circle shrinking to a focal point somewhere in Alt Limgrave, each night culminating in its own tough boss battle. When I started my first session by dropping onto the map from a spectral bird, like in Valheim, the entrance was so Fortnite coded, I wondered if From Software was joining the live service party with a battle pass, seasonal events, and $20 epic skins.
Kinda wish, honestly. But that's not Nightreign, despite all the appearances. Oh, interesting. So it's not gonna be live service after all. And honestly, that makes me kind of sad. It's honestly, they probably didn't go with the live service because they just have no technology for that rather than anything else. But, well, let's read more.
We wanted to have a game that felt like a complete package out of the box on the day of purchase, so everything is unlockable. It's not what we'd consider a live service game, says director Junya Ishizaki, who served as the battle director on Elden Ring and has been with From Software since the original Dark Souls. Listen, guys, remember the name, Junya Ishizaki, because this is the guy who is responsible for all the L2 spam you encounter every single day in this game. No Michael Zaki, Junya Ishizaki.
Yes, we got the gate? No, goats. Ghost code? No, how that's called?
Scapegoat?
Scapegoat. Oh, here you go. Okay, anyway.
Nightreign will get some post-release balance updates, as Elden Ring itself did. But beyond that, we're still in the process of thinking about the possibilities, he says. Nightreign is Ishizaki's baby. Via an interpreter, he told me that he'd been brewing game ideas when President Hidetaka Miyazaki suggested he try directing. He put together the pitch and got a green light. The one bit of guidance that sticks out is that he basically said, "Do it as you please," for his project. Ishizaki says, "It's a lean and unusually straightforward game for From Software." Yeah, that's what I said. I thought. No PvP elements at all. No invasions. No esoteric multiplayer covenants a la Dark Souls.
Fuck you!
We wanted to have a sense of accomplishment from each defeat and each success. And we wanted this to be different from Elden Ring and past titles.
Fuck you!
Ishizaki says.
Fuck you, Ishizaki!
Win or lose, you'll end the run with relics you can equip in future sessions, offering a range of buffs to HP or magic attacks or even your basic actions. I found one relic that made my healing flask also heal my allies. A huge benefit when we each only had 4 to quaff before running dry. Preset heroes with unique attributes replace the character creator. This is so bullshit, oh my god. The Lith Duchess, for example, has a tiny HP pool but dodges attacks with a Bloodborne style quickstep instead of the usual roll. The characters are cool, and so are their abilities. Empowering additions to a combat system that's always been more deliberate than razzle-dazzle. Yeah, until the DLC. Still, there is something odd about this mashup that plucks bits and pieces from roguelikes and battle royales, and even hero shooters, and uses them for seasoning in a boiled-down pot of Elden Ring. I asked Ishizaki what he'd say to players who view the changes as From Software simply copying what's popular in other games. The focus was condensing this experience down, the RPG elements, the exploration, the character building and leveling. We wanted that to feel like it was all coming together and culminating in a boss fight, but in a more concentrated form, he says. For this new sense of accomplishment that you wouldn't quite find with Elden Ring or our previous titles, we felt like we needed some new mechanics and some new elements to add into that mix.
Well, you removed them actually, not added, like god fucking damn it, the auto spam was already there. Instead you are removing the sample fucking mechanics of the Souls games, god fucking damn it. Ah, I am so pissed, okay.
Yeah, you were removing something that was the most unique, and you are literally doing something that everybody else already did.
Okay, please continue that.
We've never really held the stance, let's absolutely not do anything that other companies are doing or not follow any trends. So we didn't really see this as chasing a trend, but we saw these as interesting elements that could work well within our multiplayer-focused session-based gameplay. This is the run. My favorite thing about Nightreign, almost immediately, is the addition of 2 unique abilities per character that totally change how I play. The characters themselves aren't quite classes, but the Duchess is a clear glass cannon DPS. So they aren't classes, but they kinda are. Able to double the damage she and her allies have just dished with her rest stage ability. By the end of the day, I was yelling "run it back" to my co-op squad mate playing Duchess when I used the knight character Wilder's grappling hook to zip towards the boss, then drop his ult, a fury charged explosion that deals immense damage at close range. As with Street Fighter 2 Turbo, the bombastic new moves are thrilling, even if they feel slightly bolted on to an existing combat system. Does Wilder only have a grappling hook because From Software already had the physics code for that exact mechanic ready to go from Sekiro?
Yes.
The default controls, at least currently, are a bit awkward. Instead of getting their own dedicated buttons, the abilities require first hitting Y/triangle on a gamepad at the same time as one of the triggers. This mostly worked fine, but the occasional mispress had me swapping to a two-handed sword grip instead of using my ult at a key moment. That doesn't look like a Souls game anymore. Yes, you are very correct, my friend. As the all-rounder knight archetype, Wilder is emblematic of how different Nightreign feels from the usual single-player Souls game. The quick cooldown on his grappling hook gives him a huge ability boost over the usual default plodding sword and board playstyle. There's also a mage, a tanky heavy knight, and 4 other characters I didn't set eyes on, but broadly speaking, any character can use almost any weapon, from a staff to a colossal greatsword. Weapons come with random buffs attached, including passives that are in effect as long as you keep them in your limited inventory. I've always lamented how rarely I end up changing builds in a Souls campaign, so being forced to make do with what I find on the field, while also benefiting from what I choose to keep in my pocket, is a delightful change.
Yes, so delightful. Definitely not going to work in the way that vast majority of these things that you're gonna find. It's just simply not gonna work well with your character because it's not going to cooperate with your abilities or whatever. Oh my god, dude, like, I swear to god, like, it's honestly, I know it's gonna be a great game, but it also feels like fucking disappointment. To some extent, like, the fact like there is not gonna be a PvP in it just annoys the shit out of me so fucking much, dude. And like the fact they are presenting literally like actually classes, and they are also saying, "Oh, not a classes, not really a classes. I swear, not a classes." It's like, come on. It's like fucking like a hero bullshit, like from hero shooters and stuff. Like, just okay. Let's continue.
When I first drop onto Nightraign's map, I don't know how to decide where to go, so I dash towards the nearest fort and immediately get in over my head. At level 1, you're extremely squishy, but there's always a low-level camp not far away that serves as an easy source of runes to farm for 1-2 levels and a couple weapon pickups. Sites of Grace dot the map to refill your flasks and let you level up all your stats in one go. No RPG picking and choosing, but they no longer provide a completely safe haven. After a few minutes of free exploration, the circle starts closing, pushing me towards the eventual first night's boss fight. We die to the demi-human swordsman and queen. A pair of Elden Ring bosses will be absolutely curb-stomping within a few hours. Like, yeah, you do demi-human queen RL1.
Lol.
As with most roguelikes, knowledge and familiarity will take you a long way in Nightreign. 4 hours after starting, my co-op squad had our strategy down to a My co-op squad had our strategy down to a science. Land, hit the nearest outpost just to grab a couple levels, and any weapons with useful passive skills, or L2s. Then beeline for the nearest church, which will present us with an extra healing flask each. Stop along the way only for easy fights. Stay grouped up if anyone encounters a field boss we think we can take, like the weak sauce perfumer who dies in a few hits as long as you avoid his one lazy fire attack, who dies in a few hits by a 3 fucking person squad.
That sounds like Elden Ring.
If we have time, we rush to a second church before the end of day 1. Our goal is to get at least 3 of the 4 that are spaced around the edges of the map by the end of day 2. Calling out targets and abilities is key. Against Night 1's boss, we gang up on the fast but weak demi-human swordsman while ignoring the lumbering...
That's a game for Redditors!
Yeah, totally.
Oh my god! Oh, we can gang up on the fucking mob! Yeah, hell yeah! It's so cool! With the abilities and the shit tons of the poise damage! Hell yeah! Kurwa! Okay, continue.
Our guardian uses his ult, an AoE dive bomb, to revive one of us when we go down. You heal your allies in Nightreign by simply attacking them. What? By the time we fight Margit the Fell Omen on Night 2, we're arguably overleveled. Having cleared out the fortress, deleted the dragon thanks to a massive bleed hit doubled by Duchess Restage, and even stopped by an item vendor to grab some smithing stones to upgrade our weapons 1 tier. We're nearly at what we think is the game's level cap of 15 when we fight the final boss for our run, a Cerberus standing with some fiery bad breath. The first time we face it, we're nervous, but it proves easier than one of the potential Night 2 bosses, a tree sentinel flanked by 2 other heavily armored riders. The second time we barely break a sweat dodging a familiar set of FromSoft boss stomps, dive bombs and fire blasts. After some discouraging defeats at the hands of bosses who seemingly had overly tuned health pools, those back-to-back wins felt good. Real good. In that way that roguelikes make you want to start all over again and experience the same rush with a new build, or see if you can recreate that exact combination of items that just made you feel invincible. Like my favorite roguelikes, Nightreign seems eager to pepper gear with stats that compound in ways that range from, oh, this will change my build, to, I am now more powerful than God. But it was hard to judge those combinations in this preview. Much of the game's English text was not yet inserted, with often unhelpful fragments of item descriptions. This ultimately left me uncertain about the thing Nightreign has to get just right. Its map. Nightreign's map is peppered with familiar outposts, ruins and forts, full of enemies, caves and jails, which weren't functioning in the build we played, and churches. While the bosses and enemies you encounter in these locations vary from run to run, I am a bit worried that retracing my steps across the mostly unchanging topography dozens of times will get old even with that peppering of change. But Ishizaki says the map will sometimes see large-scale changes to terrain in the form of procedurally appearing volcanoes or swamps or forests, and hinted at some degree of meta-progression that will apply to the storylines of the hero characters and the map evolving in some way as you play more of the game. It sounds like they had a giant sandbox at From Software, they had too much money because Elden Ring was a success, and they just mixed everything they could in that sandbox, packaged it, put an Elden Ring stick on it, and are going to sell to us.
I guess it's exactly what's going to happen.
We wanted the map itself to be a giant dungeon, so players have the chance to traverse and explore a different way every time they play, he says. You have to choose the boss you want to face at the end of the 3rd day. Once you've made that choice, maybe you have an idea of how you want to strategize against that boss, and this might change how you approach the map. We wanted to offer players that agency to decide, okay, I need to go after a poison weapon this time to face this boss. Maybe that will take me to an area I don't usually go, or an enemy I don't usually want to fight. Hopefully this gives a little more variation between runs as well. Without complete item descriptions or tooltips to help me interpret the map's many tiny icons, I can't say I developed any strategies more sophisticated than get more healing flasks. Yeah, level vigor. Wow, the Redditor learned a lesson, actually. And that worked so well. It makes me a little uneasy about how much Nightreign will really demand more thought from me. The wizard towers, for example, seem painfully simple with the puzzles to enter them, never varying from a couple possible locations for a well-telegraphed hidden object to be waiting for a sword swipe. I was already sick of reenacting the same road solution and the same climb to the top of the tower for a treasure chest after a couple hours. These simply need to be more complex and more varied to stay interesting for more than a couple hours of play, which is worrying in a game meant to be played over and over again. I hope those sorts of issues are merely a symptom of this early build and not indicative of what will hopefully be a richer, more varied strategic play space in the final game, which will be out sometime in 2025. The thrill of the higher pace will only work for so long, and when it wears off, Nightreign needs something to fill the void left by the lack of FromSoft's famously intricate level design. Or it simply needs more maps. FromSoft has indicated this is THE map, with nothing beyond the confines of this reimagined Limgrave. Discovering there's actually a remixed Kaled / Florida / Ohio / Radom.
Stop! Alright, so there is like this article as well from PC Gamer, and a few things that are highlighted here, that this is actually just purely PvE game. So yeah, we have confirmation, no PvP for sure. Apparently multiplayer passwords in 2025, so they are actually straight up utilizing like just everything from the previous game. They actually made the mod. Ultimately, they made the mod. There is like more information about like some sort of the abilities. We got like information about what abilities exactly do of particular characters. I think like we are not gonna be digging into that too much.
Hey, but there is a class named Archer. Maybe they finally did...
Archery, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we got Parier, like this is the custom name.
Parier.
Okay, Parier.
Parier.
Okay, and apparently, yeah, we just got the Sekiro guy as the class. Sure, it looks like Elden Ring, but does it play like it? Yes and no. Okay, there is no fall damage, so you
no longer need to ask Michael Zaki how the gravity works.
Yeah, great. From Software doesn't consider it as a live service, of course. They don't, because they literally have no technology to make one, and that makes me honestly kind of fucking sad. Nightreign will be premium, not P2. Okay, so basically it's a premium, like you buy it once and that's it, $40 game, okay. We don't know when exactly the game actually comes. Randomly generated. Layout of maps is static, kind of. It looks like a jumbled up remix, okay. Like, we got that information in the previous article that's gonna be kind of generated. Okay, we know that, like, they are only actually going to give us, like, the one map, at least at the beginning. Characters have a preset skills, but you can still customize your build with relic and loot, okay. But, like, if you are not going to match them, like, you know, so these attacks probably gonna make sense, then your quote-unquote build gonna be dog shit. There is a loot, yes, Nightreign connected to the story of Elden Ring. No, at least not directly. FromSoft said it is an alternate reality.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
Vati is going to be eating good? Yeah, well, not quite,
Not
apparently.
Quite, apparently. Then again, it's FromSoft, so you wouldn't be shocked in Nightreign actually hints somewhere, blah, blah, okay. Nightreign will have a network test before release, please! Like Elden Ring and most of the Souls game sources will hold free online beta tests for players sometime ahead of release. Oh my god, I'm eating so good, holy shit. Based on the past games, expect the network test to be held between 3 and 6 months before the release, yeah. We're gonna see how it's going to be like. At least I'm happy that we're gonna have a network test to tell ahead how much of disappointment, or maybe not, this game actually going to be. But yeah, apparently the guy asked about that specific thing, so we actually know there is going to be potentially a network test. That's cool. That's cool.
Why is it cool?
Because network tests allow players like me or G or other tryhards to initially send a lot of information to From Software ahead about what could be potentially fixed.
Was there a network test for DLC?
For DLC, no, but for every other release we had, there was a network test.
Were you a part of it?
Everyone can be.
Oh, I see.
It's open. Yeah,
Okay.
you can just sign up for the invitation. You have to be extremely unlucky to not get one.
But you can't make content out of...
You can.
can?
Yeah, you can stream these. Everyone is always like streaming these, making videos out of it. We can actually test all these things that we actually have here. And if the game is actually gonna be shit, we're gonna be able to actually provide the feedback. And From Software actually listens to that feedback very carefully, unlike post the release when the game is already in the life cycle. So yeah, that's actually pretty cool.